Hello, my name is Brennan. Welcome. I'm going to be explaining how you can use the Monogame shader. So this is a different version of the Monogame that we currently use. The Monogame that has been released is 3.8. It's 3.81, whereas I'm going to show you how to use the compute fork version, which is 3.83. So beginning, basically what you're going to need, and this is a prerequisite, is you're going to need to have Visual Studio 2022, and it has to be a version that is older, no, excuse me, newer than 17.8. If it's not newer than 17.8, you won't be able to have .NET 8, which is required, and so you won't be able to run the environment. If you don't have that, then I definitely suggest, if you don't have that and you need a geometry shader, then I suggest doing one of two things: either updating to a newer version of Visual Studio, or reconsidering whatever you're implementing. Because if you don't have a geometry shader, making one in Monogame is kind of annoying. So, anyways, let's begin. Let me show you how to get this into your Monogame project. So the first things first is, after you make sure that you have the newest version of Visual Studio, or a version that is later than 17.8 or 17.8, then what we can now do is we can make a new project. So I'm going to do just that. We're going to open up Visual Studio, and we're going to create a new project just to show you. I usually just do it with the Monogame framework. Doesn't matter. You're going to change it. So we're going to name this. We're just going to name this test project. Okay. And so we create. All right. So now we should have our test project up and running. Currently we are in Monogame. If you click on the .cs, this is when you double click on this, you get pulled up the .cs like project. And currently we are in .NET 6 Monogame version 3.8 1.303. This is the latest version of Monogame that is released that you can like get through Visual Studio, such as I just did. So to get the fork, this version, you're gonna have to do some other stuff. So but just to show you that this is working, we're going to just press the project, and it should just load a blue screen. That's all we want. Cool. Perfect. That's correct. So now let's install the new version. So how do you install it? The first thing you're going to do is you're going to click on the project. You're going to go to .NuGet, manage NuGet packages. All right. And then now you're going to do, it's going to show you you're installed. Obviously, you have these two versions of Monogame installed. That's fine and all, but we want the newest version of Monogame. So we're gonna have to uninstall. Let's just uninstall these. Apply. Now you might have to, once you do all this, after changing your NuGet packages and everything, you might have to restart your computer. You're definitely gonna probably have to do .NET Restore. .NET Restore being what fixes like your project dependencies and stuff. So now that that is done, I'm going to be using the tessellation and geometry shader as an example. This is definitely this is definitely what I needed for my project and the most very useful for me. However, I think this works basically the same for every other thing. So now to use the fork, in the GitHub project, it said manage your .cs project, which is this file right here, right? To be able to edit this file to put these versions in. However, we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to go here, browse, and just press .compute, and then find the version that you need. The version I need is windows.tx, so I'm going to use windows.tx. But if you're using GL, Android, whatever, they have support for that, so you can use those as well. So then I install that, apply. Okay, so then that should show up in my .cs, yep, right there. And then now what else I need is I need the content builder. The content builder being whenever you create a Monogame project, you're able to come to the content, just double click this. So here we go. Okay, download, apply. Okay, so now what we need to do is this isn't going to work. It's not going to be able, this game file is not going to be able to detect Monogame. The reason why is because two things. First, the .NET 8, this is .NET 6, it needs to be .NET 8, and I'll show you how to change that. Second, you need to change your .config file. The way to do that is get to where your project is. See, mine's going to be in this test environment. So here, this is the project I made. You go to this, you go to the .config file, and you just change this. And we're gonna have to change this .NET Tools because this .NET Tools is using something else that is not. We're gonna have to change this and this. But basically, before we change this file, we're gonna have to change this. You can either just you could either just hard code this file to where it says .NET 8, or click on your project, click on properties, and then when you're in properties, go into properties, go to .NET 6, change it .NET 8. If you have a later version than if your like Visual Studio is older, it's a newer version than 17.8, this will work. You will see this. If it is not a later version or it is not the most like new version, you won't be able to see this. All you'll see is .NET 7. That's not what you want. You want .NET 8. So I thankfully installed .NET 8, or I have the latest version of Visual Studio, so I'm able to call .NET 8 and change it. Then you can just change your .os, whatever. It doesn't really matter. So this should now change, and it should now be correct. So we go to game one. Now it recognizes Monogame. So it's as simple as that. But we still have a couple other things we need to do. First, we need to change our .NET tool files. So this is still wrong. Even though we have .NET Restore, yeah. So you're gonna need to change your version. So you don't want to use this version. You don't want to use 3.8. You want to use the version that they have. So in the files, they have the .NET tool files, which is this. So just copy paste this entire thing into your .NET tools.json, such. Now, when you run the project, it should be able to work. Boom. Okay, so now you're up to date with the newest version of Monogame, or with the Monogame fork. But let's say you want to add something to the project. For me, I want to add a bunny. How do I do that? Well, you need to change the version of the content.mgb that you're using. The way to do that is by going to View, Terminal, run this command. All right. So that was installed. The very second after you install that command, do this command. All these commands will be linked with the project description, but okay, so then that works. And so to open it, what you want to do is, so from this directory, from the project file directory, you can just do this. You do one of these three things. So I ran the commands. I did this one first, the .NET tool install, and then I did the mgbc command compute, and then from there, I'm going to type in this. Boom. So then you get the file editor up. So from there, it's weird. So you actually can't add or build anything. The reason why is it doesn't know which content folder or which content like .mbc that you're using. So just go File, Open. I'm gonna open the one from. So just open your content.mgb folder, open it, and then now you can add and build stuff to the project. So I'm gonna add really quickly to this project, bunny, copy, and then you can build. All right. So now that we have the bunny in successfully, let us be able to draw with it. Cool. All right, so as you can see, we're able to, so now that we have, a little basic program, let's be able to open it and run it. All right, as you can see, we're able to make things within Monogame, and we'll be able to use the geometry shader as well as everything else. So that's it. That's all you need to do. It works. Thank you.